All right, let's go over some inverted chord values. So, your standard chord progression is 1, 4, 5. And if you're doing it in root position, it's going to be C, F, and G chords. So your 4 chord diatonically should be major. But what if you inverted that chord value? Well, then you get this. Now, if you took the 5 chord and you inverted the chord value, you'd get a minor 5, and then you get all these different varieties and moods and things. Now, we inverted the 4 chord to minor. We inverted the 5 chord to minor. Now, what about if I take the 2 chord and I invert that to major? These are what are called secondary dominants. So this D major exists naturally in the key of G. It's the 5 chord. And in the key of C major, G is the 5 chord. So this is kind of like the 5 chord of the 5 chord. So we call that a secondary dominant. And the way you analyze that is basically anywhere you see a major chord where it shouldn't be, like a major 2, you would say, okay, what would that be the 5 chord of? What chord would that dominate? You can use a circle of fifths if you have one handy, or I can just take this chord and go 5 letters down either on the keyboard or D, C, B, A, G. We can do it that way. But the way to apply this would be if I was doing a regular chord progression and I threw in a secondary dominant and then I threw in that takes me to your regular dominant, because the secondary dominant falls onto the regular dominant, and then the regular dominant falls back onto your tonic. Now, oftentimes what you'll see me do is I'll just add a 9 or a 7, and if you go an octave higher, basically spread it out. It sounds really nice. And that's one of my go-to moves. I always like doing add 9 chords. Just a nice, smooth way to end the song. So to wrap things up, I can borrow there, borrow there. I can even borrow this and long story short, I would take your diatonic chords and practice flipping their values. So what would be a minor 2, just see how a major would sound. And you can work that into your regular chord progression. If you took your 3 chord and you made that major, what is this dominating here? It's dominating A, and A is 6 above my original. So if I chose to put an E major in here, I could do that, and the way I would justify it is by saying I'm doing the secondary dominant. I'm doing a 5 chord of the 6th note. So that opens it up to where we have a major, you could even start on it, you could invert the 1 chord and then do your regular major 4, and I'm just inverting the 4 chord to major. And you can always throw in your natural diatonic chord. All right. So we flipped around the 1, we flipped around the 2, we flipped around the 3, we flipped around the 4, we flipped around the 5. You can even do a major 6 chord. Now 6 would dominate 2. A dominates D. So I would analyze this if I chose to use it. That would be the 5 of 6. And then that way I can throw in an A major if I want to. And I can find my way back to my home chord. So practice inverting those chord values, and you can always analyze the definition in terms of them later, but that'll at least give you a lot more colors to paint with. I hope that's helpful, and let the shredding begin.